Hello, hello, and welcome back to Q-Chan's Ed with your host Q-Chan. And as I always say, you can definitely call me Mr. Q. We have been talking a lot about the benefits, effects of bilingualism, the importance of speaking other languages, raising bilingual children, monolingual parents, and so forth. We have been talking about a lot of different topics. And mainly on my website www.qchaned.com, you can definitely see some of the blog posts as well that I'm writing regarding education. But at the same time, I would love to talk about a little bit about my background. So I do have four master's degrees, mostly all of them in psychology. The first one goes from cognitive science in education from Columbia University in the city of New York, and then other ones from universities in Spain, and another one from Mexico. All of them regarding early childhood development, psychology, education, and so forth. So, since I love every aspect of psychology and how the brain works, how the mind works, motivation, inspiration, taking action, and so forth. I would love to also do a podcast on the psychology of language learning, motivation, memory, and the mind. Okay, so definitely learning a new language, it can open doors to just going abroad, making new friends, looking at the world differently, looking at yourself differently at the same time. It can definitely boost self-esteem since you're gonna be able to talk to more people out there. So language learning is definitely a complex and very difficult process that requires a combination of skills, motivation, supportive environment, inspiration, wanting to do it, objectives, reasons, and so forth. There's just like a bunch of things that you need to do or think before you take action. However, I do want to talk a little bit about this. So, I was watching a YouTube video the other day, and it was talking about how, in order to take action, you need motivation, or in order to get motivation, you need to be inspired. So, you need to be watching someone or watching a video, and then with that, you'll get inspired, and with the inspiration, motivation comes in, and after those two are combined, so it's like motivation plus inspiration will equal action. So this person was explaining this in a really, really good and eloquent way, but I really like what he said. It is not a line. It's kind of like a loop thing. So sometimes you will be motivated, and sometimes you will be inspired, but most of the time, and this one is the one that you cannot let go, is you cannot stop taking action. So again, I'm going back to one of my examples, which is running. I run almost every single day, and there, of course, there are times that I really don't want to do it. I wake up in the morning. I do wake up really early, and especially in the winter, it's really difficult to wake up like happily. So I wake up, I'm really warm, and I'm like, I really don't want to go, and I don't want to go out for a run. It's really cold. My nose hurts, my ears hurts, and then I don't know, like my throat as well. So I have to be like covered and change my clothes, and you have to do just so much in order to stand up. But I decide to do it. I don't procrastinate, and I just stand up and do it. So the thing is, while I'm doing it, then I get inspired, I get motivated. So finally, it's like I'm gonna go back home and I can have like a big breakfast, for example, and I'm ready to work on the things that I want to do. So definitely think about it as a loop. They're gonna be, I'm gonna say most of the time, you don't want to do it. However, I recommend you that you do it. So if you, it's easily, of course, easier said than done. But if you do it, for sure, it's going to be way easier to get inspired and get that motivation that you need. So understanding the psychology of language learning can definitely help you better understand what motivates you to learn, how you remember new words, grammar, the entire process necessary to learn a new process, but a new language. But it is very important that you learn from yourself, that you at least try to see what works for you, and definitely take notes. What works for me is definitely not going to work for others. And again, I could just talk a lot about all the different times I've met different kind of runners here in Japan, and I tell them the one of the best ways to in order to increase your times, but yeah, it doesn't work for them. They don't want to do it. Then don't do it. Find the way that works best for you. And again, for me, definitely, I would say lately, I just don't want everything to be so serious. Everyone is so serious. Why? Let's have fun and enjoy the process. Like everyone says, it's not about the destination; it's about the journey. Like I think it's about both. Enjoy both. Enjoy the journey and enjoy the destination. That I think like that's another thing. Like a lot of people get to the destination, but instead of enjoying it, they're already thinking about the next journey. So I would say just enjoy every single aspect of life. And definitely, use this information to become a better learner. So let's go and first talk about motivation, which a lot of people think it is the key to successful learning. And yeah, motivation is definitely needed for basically every single activity or thing that you do in life. So one of the most important factors in language learning is motivation. And motivation can be defined as the drive that pushes you to engage in a particular behavior or action. And again, it's not only about learning, it is definitely also about cooking, taking a class, reading a book, drawing, teaching, planning, financial planning, etc., etc. It's just like definitely it is something that a lot of people think you need in order to be successful. Doubt it. I highly doubt that every pro athlete out there is motivated every single day. They wake up so happily. No. As I mentioned almost on every podcast that I do, it is all about that grind. It is all about that grind. Okay, so motivation can, as I mentioned, it is what keeps you going. And when you're feeling frustrated, overwhelmed, or discouraged, if you're motivated, it'll definitely push you. But however, if you're not motivated and you're feeling frustrated, overwhelmed, and discouraged, that is definitely big, big problems. Big, yeah. So there are two types of motivation. I think I don't know. Some of you might know them. So one is in intrinsic. Wow, it's a difficult word. Intrinsic motivation and extrinsic motivation. So intrinsic motivation is driven by an internal desire to learn for personal satisfaction and fulfillment. And extrinsic motivation, on the other hand, is driven by external factors such as rewards, grades, or the desire to impress others. So I would say, like, most of the time, people are more driven towards the eccentric. Am I saying it correctly? Extrinsic. Well, you see, we all make mistakes. Let's keep on going. So yeah, I would say like most people would definitely follow the extrinsic motivation path more so. They want to be recognized. They want all of those likes on their Instagram feed, posts, their Twitters, their tweets to be retweeted, their YouTube channels to be liked and not disliked. So it is incredible how nowadays just people want all of those likes. And if you're asking me, do I want those likes? Yeah, of course I want them, but I will not let that be a factor of my motivation to continue doing this. Like, definitely I want to do it for my own personal satisfaction and fulfillment. So just recently I was talking with someone, and this person was telling me just lots of stuff about how to do stuff. Okay, I don't want to be that specific because maybe the person is listening to this and it's a little bit troublesome to continue. So I was not asking for any kind of advice. And I was just saying that I wasn't doing it for the people. I was doing it for myself because I'm actually enjoying this process of researching about different kinds of things, trying to put research data on the topics that I'm introducing here to everyone, and just basically enjoying the process. It is really fun to do this. I am enjoying every single minute of this at the moment. And of course, I do want to engage with the in the future whenever I get, listeners. It might be, a month from now, it might be a year from now. I don't know how long it's going to take, but you know, like instead of doing this, I could just be, as a couch potato and watching Netflix. Anyway, I don't want to go move on from the topic. So, both those kind of motivations, I would say, for someone who maintains a very neutral life, they would definitely benefit from learning how they get motivated and what encourages them in order to continue doing something or wanting to do something. I think it is very important for you to understand what motivates you. Second point is memory and the foundation of language learning. So memory, it is the foundation of language learning. Without a good memory, you won't be able to retain new information and you'll have a very hard time making progress. It is, again, you have to put in the time. It is all about the grind. And if one day, for example, when I was learning kanji, if I just practice that kanji for a day or two, it will not stay in my memory. Well, I'll quickly forget it. So this is what is called short-term memory, which is like the temporary storage of information that is used for a short period of time. I would say like most of us back when we were in school before a test, everything was short-term memory. I don't remember anything. I don't even remember taking a test, to be honest. I don't know if that's embarrassing or not, but I really don't remember. So when you learn a new word, you first store it in your short-term memory. However, if you don't review it regularly, you're gonna forget it instantly. So that's why like a lot of people say like, oh, you should learn new languages when you're a child, because like children are like sponges. Well, yeah. Have you ever used a sponge before? It can quickly get wet, but you can get rid of that water just at the same speed. So yeah, while children learn very quickly, they also forget very quickly. Okay, so then we have another kind of memory, which is the long-term memory, which is the permanent storage of information that is used for a long period of time. So when you store information in your long-term memory, you can recall it later without much effort. So we all have this long-term memory, and sometimes, I don't know if it's only me, but I'm sure there's other people out there that do this. Like sometimes you get a little bit confused as to why you're remembering completely unnecessary things rather than important things. But yeah, there's a lot of famous people and rich people out there too as well. Like, I don't need to know this information since, we have the web now. You can just Google basically everything. So yeah, you can definitely get rid of things that you don't need in your mind and just focus on the things that are important for you. And then we have another type of memory, which is the working memory. And is a part of your memory that is used for mental activities such as thinking, reasoning, and problem solving. So when you're learning a new language, your working memory is heavily taxed as you try to make sense of new grammar rules and vocab. So by using different memory techniques, you can definitely improve your memory and become a better language learner. For example, repetition, visualizing, and association are all effective memory techniques that can help you store new information in your long-term memory. So maybe some teachers out there know about the flashcards. So like how flashcards actually can help children remember words very easily. Some teachers that I've seen have like a routine in the morning. So they have like a set of cards, and in those cards, they have like different English words over there. Maybe they might be sight words, or maybe they may be learning a new phonic sound. So they like review all of those words over and over and over again. So in the hope that it'll stay in the long-term memory. But again, we're talking about children here. They forget quite easily. But if adults do this, for example, in my case, I grinded really hard with those kanjis. I forgot how to write them because I actually didn't review them. I didn't review the writing that much, but I can read them completely. So that is pretty cool in a way, I guess. So I guess we're going to go to the final piece of the puzzle. So we were talking about the memory. We were talking about motivation. How is that important? Now we're going to the last one, which is the mind. Again, I'm not saying that this is a rule. This is just for the podcast that I'm making. And I thought that motivation, it was very important. Memory is very important in the mind as well. So the mind is the final piece of this podcast. So when it comes to language learning, so the way you think about a language can have a big impact on your success. So one of the most important things you can do to become a better language learner is to develop a growth mindset. I don't know if you ever heard about Carol Dweck. So Carol Dweck is a PhD. I remember listening to a lecture of hers when I was back in Colombia. I don't know where she's a professor from now, but she's pretty well known in the field of psychology. So she also has a book called The Growth Mindset, and she talks about two different kinds of mindset, like the fixed mindset versus the growth mindset. I'm going to do a podcast on that later on, but basically a growth mindset is the belief that you can improve and grow as a person through effort and dedication. So simply put, that is a growth mindset. I'm not saying that is like whatever you put in your mind that you can achieve, that is having and you will achieve it. No, it's basically that that the more, again, let's go back to that word, the more that you grind, basically the more effort and time that you put into getting better at something, you will definitely see the rewards later on. So when you have a growth mindset, you see setbacks more so not like embarrassing moments, but as opportunities to learn and grow. So back, I would say, no, let's scratch that. Recently, I've been having this mentality of not caring. And it's not, I'm not saying that I don't care about people and that I'm going to be mean to them and I'm going to be rude to them. Of course not. It's just about not caring. So there's a lot of information out there and you always try to compare yourself with others. Am I good as this person? Or maybe I need this in order to start. Or until I have that. Or until I'm better at this. Or until. And then you just, basically what you're doing, you're screwing yourself up before even trying. So I'm in this new mode of not caring. Of course, when people are being mean to me and rude to me, it hurts. And when people ignore me, it hurts. But I'm not going to let that take my sleep. Instead, I'm just not going to care anymore. So I'm just going to continue doing my stuff, enjoy the process of living instead of, damaging myself. So I am no longer afraid of making mistakes. Whereas before, no way I wanted to make a mistake. I always wanted to show this perfection, this perfect Q-chan, this perfect Mr. Q. If somebody came to my classroom and there were visitors there, I would give like a massive show. Okay, guys, let's do this. Or even tell them, I don't know, make it just super fun so they could see that I'm this glowy person that is always happy. No, you know what? No, don't do that. That's not having a growth mindset. That was having a fixed mindset. It wasn't helping me at all. It wasn't pushing me at all. But now, like, when I make the mistakes, I laugh at my mistakes. Like, again, let me try and say the words of motivation again: intrinsic and extrinsic. If I did it correctly, give me a thumbs up. Anyway, so yeah, like I know that mistakes are a natural part of this. I'm teaching my kids as well to learn from this, so I cannot be contradicting myself and telling my kids that it is okay to make mistakes and then I'm not making those mistakes, right? So another important part of the mind, and this is the last thing that I'm going to touch on this podcast, is the role of language in thought. So this is a very interesting one, like very interesting. Just excuse me a little bit. I have to drink some water. So there is a growing body of research that suggests that the language that we speak, can influence the way we think, and perceive the world. So this idea is known as linguistic relativity, or, and this is very difficult. So I found this hypothesis very difficult to say. I don't even know if I'm pronouncing it correctly, but it's Sapper Whorf hypothesis. So basically, like, studies have shown that people who speak different languages can have a different cognitive biases and categorize the world in different ways. So for me, we've been talking about this on different podcasts. So I feel that I have a huge advantage against monolinguals or limited bilinguals. If you don't know what a limited bilingual is, definitely check out on other podcasts with the title "Limit Categories Bilingual Categories," so you will learn more about them. But I would say, like, I definitely have an advantage because whenever I have a problem, I think about it in three main languages. I don't use French for that, but I think about it in English, I think about it in Spanish, and I think about it in Japanese. And at the same time, I have people I can go to talk about these problems. And then it is very interesting how the same problem can have different solutions from different languages, but at the same time, same solution from different languages. I don't even know how to explain this in a proper way, but definitely, it gives you a different cognitive biases and categorizes the world in a different way. So, for example, this is an example that I came across online. People who speak languages that have a large number of words for different types of snow tend to be more sensitive to variations in snow than those who do not have such specific terms. That is really funny. Right? Another example is different languages shape the way we perceive time. So languages like Mandarin have a more general word for time, while others like Hopi have a very specific words for past, present, and future. So this difference in language has been found to correspond with cultural differences in time perception and the way events are remembered and talked about. So it is important to note that these studies do not suggest at all, okay, that language determines thought, but rather that it can shape and influence it in various ways. So the relationship between language and thought, it is complex, very, very complex, and it continues to be a topic of ongoing research and debates in the fields of linguistic and cognitive science. So yeah, I will definitely talk about it more on later episodes, but for the time being, today, I just wanted to talk about the psychology of learning a language and what comes with it in three main points, right? It's not that this is the entire psychology of language learning. No, I just wanted to talk about three main points, which are like motivation, memory, and the mind. And just to end it as a conclusion, I just want to share my opinion of the psychology of language learning. It can be incredibly hard and annoying and frustrating to learn a new language. And again, if you want to be seen as this perfect person who knows every single aspect of the language and you're unwilling to make mistakes, so then just give up, because seriously, give up. It won't happen. It won't happen. There's no one out there, not even professors in linguistics are perfect in the language. They have their own way of viewing stuff. They have their own way of viewing how essays should be written. They have their own way of viewing how language should be spoken. So again, let's just not be that serious about it, but enjoy the process of learning languages and just talking with other people. Let's be happy, guys. Let's be happy. All right. So thank you so much again for staying with me. Hopefully you enjoyed this episode as well as the others. So stay tuned for more. So this was Q-chan with Q-chan Ed, and see you next time, and enjoy your day. Goodbye.